found the GroomPod. Welcome to our virtual salon. My name is Susie, and I'm your host. I'm a mobile groomer from Seattle, Washington, and anybody who knows me will tell you I love to talk, especially about my job. And one of my favorite people to talk to is my friend and mentor and the co-star of this show, the curator of ingredients, Miss Barbara Bird.
Hey, Susie, I can't wait to tell you all about my experiences at Groom'd in Atlanta. And I want to share my friend Melody is here to talk about her first experience in the competition ring. So we're all about Atlanta today now here in Greenville, South Carolina.
Well, welcome to episode 475. Sorry, everyone. She got excited. Of the GroomPod, recorded on March 22nd, 2026. And from the streets of Greenville to the stage in Atlanta this week, we are recapping Groom'd 2026 with Barbara Bird and her special guest, Melody Coleman, like you just heard. And the dog distracting me. The mobile professional who took her standard poodle into the ring for the very first time. Let's get into the suds. What's new this week is brought to you by Best Shot. Let me tell you about Best Shot's newest addition to the Ultramax Pro line. Ultramax Hair Hold is a flexible hairspray that can be layered on for a stronger hold. Ultramax Hair Hold Spray is great, but my favorite new product is called the Max, and I won't groom without it. It's a fragrance-free ultra-concentrate conditioner and detangler. It reduces drying time and handles undercoat and tangles like magic. Just a few drops in the final rinse or spray it on and dry it in. Contact your favorite Best Shot distributor or learn more online at bestshotpet.com. Grooming success begins with Best Shot in your tub. Made from the best stuff on earth. What's new this week is my van. My van is new this week. I'm so excited.
Susie makes a big change.
It was hard. It's a hard change.
Change is hard.
Yes. So I love my friend Sharon. She's awesome. But how do I politely put this? I don't think she listens to the podcast. She's not the brightest bulb in the block, as I said. Sorry. There's a lot going on here. This will be an exciting podcast. That's all I can say. Anyway, she came out. I had yet a fourth generator fail. It was like the world telling me it was time, right? I borrowed 2 generators from the neighbors. Both of them failed. My 2 were both broken. So it was time. So Sharon, in an emergency phone call, brought the van out without getting it detailed. I said, just bring it. I need to go to work, please, because I'm not going to go buy another generator. That would be silly. So, yeah. So, yes. Oh, you're trying to hear.
You very well.
Okay, let me see. Okay, folks, we're going to turn this up. There may be some editing in the beginning of this. I'll just clean this up a little bit. Anyway, so they came out. We hung out. She walked through the van and showed me everything and apologized because it was dirty on the outside. The inside was just fine. There was nothing that needed to be done in there. But outside, yeah, there's some moss growing on it. Stuff like that. But inside, beautiful, right? And then I said, okay, let's do the title. And she said, the title? Oh, crap, I forgot the title. Like, oh, God. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. It's all good. We'll just, Tom, her husband, says, well, we'll just come out tomorrow again and bring all that stuff. And I said, okay. And then I said, where's the extension cord? Don't I need to plug it in? And she said, Oh, the extension cord, because it's got a 30 amp. I don't have a Marine 30 amp pigtail here. I just don't have those. I don't have a collection of pigtails. So I didn't have a way to plug the van in. But as it turns out, I really don't need to plug it in because I run it on the generator and it recharges the battery that way. But when it gets to be winter, I'm going to need to plug it in. So no title, no power cord. All of her stuff still in the van. She took the table out.
She's just walking away from everything, right? Yeah, just like so long.
I don't think she gave it a second thought. I think she was just here, use the, go ahead, this is it. So I didn't have anywhere to put my stuff in the van. So I did get her, I convinced her to, before they came out, to pull her table out because I knew for sure that I was going to use my table. But I figured that the equipment that she left behind, because I thought she'd at least take some stuff to groom at home because everybody wants to do a little grooming. Nobody who just wants to walk away. And she doesn't either. She wants to do a little grooming at home. Yeah, she just left everything. So I started putting stuff in bags. I have like 10 bags. I still haven't even come close to getting her stuff out of there. She pulled the table, told us she should put it in her shed, and then she can groom in there. And then I started to put my stuff in, realizing that I don't have any room to put my stuff because there's a lot of stuff in there. And then I go out to the first appointment, and my friend, my neighbor, the girl I ride with, comes over to see the van because she's as excited as I am. Mind you, I have not told anyone. Maybe I told 5 people that this was happening because I want the joy of the surprise of when I pull up, and I'm having it. That's the best freaking, well, no. Yeah, that's one of the best parts is pulling up to the house where they expect the old trailer, and I'm in this because it really is a beautiful van. And Cheryl comes over and says, you know, your tabs are bad. And I went, what? My tabs are bad. They're over a year old. So I'm working in a van that has bad tabs. Now, luckily, I'm in the state of Washington and they don't write tickets or arrest anybody for anything here.
Are we
So,
talking about license plate tabs?
yes,
So she wasn't
yes.
up to date with her.
No, they've been in Chicago. I never even gave it a second thought. Right? Obviously, she didn't either. So here we were. Anyway, so it's a little like cooking in someone else's kitchen. Like, you know, that's the bathing beauty in the tub and the table and the dryers and stuff. But all of the things are in different spots. You don't know where to put your cutlery. You want it to be near the dishwasher, but not too far away from the sink. And hopefully they're in the same neighborhood. But yeah, so putting everything away has been kind of fun because it's definitely purpose built. My grooming trailer was built by a groomer's husband. He did like 6 of them, and mine was the 6th. It's also the only one that was still on the road. But it's not like this. It's not like a commercially made van. Melody, you have a Hanvey van, right?
I do. Mhm.
Yeah. When you moved into it, at least nobody else's stuff was in there, was it?
Yeah, fortunately, that was all taken out. So, but I will say I had been in Wagon Tails vans before. So when I got into the Hanvey van, it was definitely different trying to figure out where to put stuff and how I wanted to organize it. I like that I had more options, but
Yes.
it took me a few rounds of putting stuff and having stuff fly across the van a few times before I figured out where everything should go. So,
My
yeah.
biggest problem was my table and the ramp to get the big dogs. Because I got this table that goes all the way down. Now I added a bunch of big dogs. Then I move into a place where I'm going to have to lift them up. And I'm like, crap, because of my lips. You can't bring the ramp over the end. So I had to turn my table perpendicular. So I walk into my van and the table's right there. But it's working for me because to sit down and grab your stuff without having to stand up every time, you got to kind of do that anyway. But I love it. So the first thing that I found out after the very first bath is you really have to manage the humidity. I never had tools to manage the humidity, but my grooming space was not attached to my driving space. So I opened a little door and the whole thing is like a fog bank up there. The windows, I have to sit in the driveway and fire up my defroster and just sit there. And then people are like, why is she still in the driveway? Because I can't see. So I had to learn about the fans and the windows and the cross ventilation, how that all works. I finally got it all figured out and the fan working. And wow, that thing, for the first time ever, I walked in the morning and there wasn't water on my scissors. There was no condensation on my blades. It's magic, magic. And then I was like, oh, it's a little cold. Turn the heater on. Wow, it heats that space up like so amazing. It's just really cool. It drives like a champ. It's more difficult to drive than the trailer truck combination because the truck is in such good shape. It's really a solid driver. And this has a little bit of a sloppy front end. We'll fix all that later. But yeah, let me just say big success. And people are flipping out. But I think it's much more expensive to run. I'm going to just say that without knowing for sure. I cannot do a gas mileage check because the generator comes out of the gas tank too. So when I fill up gas, I've got gas and generator combination. So I don't know what my gas mileage is. So I don't even know how bad it is. But I know I've had to fill up every day to top it off because apparently if you get it below half, that it'll shut your generator down. So they don't want you to run out of gas. I mean, that's what it says in the manual. So that's a shocker. That was a shocker. $77 yesterday to fill up slightly over half a tank. So I choked on that, but we are once again in Washington and our gas is.
It's not even my vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. So it has graphics on it. It's the original owner was called the business Va 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 Groom, and she had a 1920s motif. So there's a flapper on the side of the van in a short skirt and like 6-inch high heels. And I looked at it and I said, what is it I'm selling here? What the heck? There's a name across the front. It still says Va 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 Groom. And then across the back are two really cool dog window decals that are just amazing. And I love them. There's a doodle back there. I wish that was something else. And then there's I can't remember. Oh, I think there's a border collie. So there's a border collie and a doodle on the back, black and white, just beautiful renditions on the windows. Yeah, I tried to take the shop vac out. That was a little tough. So there's differences, but all in all, definitely a huge upgrade. So I think I'm going to raise everybody's price though to cover the difference.
Yeah.
After I pull up and after they see it and after they get impressed, it's so clean inside. I can keep it so clean compared to the trailer. I am loving it. The trailer was great at first, but about year 15, it kind of started to go downhill as, you know, as expected. But what I can say is this van has very low miles, and I'm convinced that the way it's built, it will last me the next 15 or 20 years of grooming that I hope to have. So, yeah. So anyway, let me just give myself a ding because I moved on. I actually took a step
so proud
forward.
of you. I'm so proud of you. I was afraid you were not going to like it, that you were going to be stuck in that trailer and not want to change.
The gas mileage is a deterrent. The whole having to fill up every day, because we don't live near gas stations. I have to go out of my way to get to a gas station that isn't the one that's off the highway and has the $1 more a gallon price because it's right off the highway. I have one of those near my house, but I've got to drive 25 minutes to get to a reasonably priced gas station. And depending on which way I go, I might not even pass a gas station. So that is a little tricky, but I'm loving it. It's great. So let's move on to our first appointment because I am so excited about this. You love grooming, but the business side, not so much. Between the constant phone calls, the no-shows, and the messy calendars, it's hard to focus on the pets. Meet Groom'd, the all-in-one software built specifically for salon, mobile, and house call groomers. Let clients book online 24/7, send automatic text reminders, and manage your payments all in one place. Spend less time on paperwork and more time doing what you love. Start your free trial by putting GroomPod 22 in the coupon code at groomore.com. These are our sponsors. They make it possible for us to do our show, not to mention you guys on Patreon. We appreciate you very, very much. That helps a lot. You've been to Atlanta Pet Fair at least a few times, Barbara. Melanie, how many times have you been? Is this your second, third, fifth, 10th?
Probably, I haven't counted, maybe like fifth or sixth time I've gone. Something like that.
I love that show. I really appreciate it. They do, even the new people are doing a pretty good job. So what was the whole vibe in there, you guys? Was it excitement? Was it busy? Did it feel full?
It was it was it was well attended and it was full. But for me, the funny thing is the last, I mean, I was at Groomed briefly 2 years ago and kind of went around, and but I didn't internalize it in the same way as I did this time. It seemed smaller to me. But the last show that I went to before just stopping by Groomed was Super Zoo 2015. And once you've been to Super Zoo, every single show after that seems small, you know. But uh, it was happening, and there still too many scissors. Still
Oh, yeah.
too, it's just um, there's the sharpener and the elite scissors, and then there's these crowds of people around the $10 scissors on the corner,
Hmm.
and what people do is they go and buy a couple of good and expensive shears. And then the next day, they go to the cheap shears and buy more shears. I mean, groomers are sheer fucking crazy, just nuts for their shears. And and I had a I had a shears experience because Curtis Hamby. So I went in as a member of the Hamby engineering team, and I had a vest made for me that had Hamby on it on the back. It said educator, and it was all glittery and very cool. Ashley Hamby did me right. So what was I saying?
You
God
were
damn
having a
my mom.
sheer experience.
Oh, so Curtis Hamby had a he promised me to have wheels at Groom'd because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to stand and walk for 3 days. I thought maybe I could do it for one day, but you know what? I I rode down with Jennifer Bishop Jenkins. We had a wonderful conversation all the way down and stayed in the hotel across the street from the venue. And I walked around in the morning, but it was, even though it was just across the street, it was like 5 blocks because he had to go all the way around to the front of the venue. And by the time I made it to the Handy booth, I was done. My legs were done. My feet were done. I need, yeah, wah, wah. So I had expected a scooter
Oh,
because that's what I had requested, but I didn't
yes.
get a scooter. I got a motorized chair.
Oh, well, that's cool.
So it was cool, but it was hard to drive. It
I bet
was
there's a
It
learning
was
curve.
hard to drive. It had this little teeny joystick. It's sort of like a mini penis.
Oh, yes.
It didn't have a joystick that you could grab hold of and do. It was this little teeny penis. You had to it around, and it was very sensitive. And I would jerk me around, and I would go, and then the motor and everything was behind my butt. And so in the most of the space of the thing, it had this big rear end. Let me just say that had no front end. That was me and my crotch coming at you. That's what I felt like. I just felt like I was like strapped in. I wasn't even strapped in, but I just felt like I couldn't feminize my approach at all. It was just like, here I come,
Oh
you
my
know.
gosh. That's a visual. Barbara's crotch coming at
I mean, I'm
you.
the only one that saw it like that, but I saw it like that. I felt it like that. I said, "Well, this thing." I mean, and because it had me. it had me slightly leaning back, which I guess they thought was a comfortable position for a paralyzed person or something.
Well,
And so then here I am, right, the crutch, and
all you
and
needed were the stirrups.
right, and this little teeny mini penis joystick that you had to push to go forward. You didn't pull it back like you usually do with a joystick. So, all my training from whenever I had done anything with joystick before in my 86 years, which wasn't much, but nonetheless, I was used to pulling it back. So, I was constantly going backwards when I'm supposed to be going forwards. And then I had to figure out how to hold that little thing so that I would turn gracefully. And I was mostly like a fucking drunk driver coming down here. Student driver, I would just yell, student driver coming through. And
Well, an
fortunately,
adventure, though.
so so then speaking of cheers, so then I'm going around and checking all the booths. So I saw scissors after scissors. So I come approach this scissor booth, and they've got scissors put out in like fun designs. They weren't just like parallel to each other, but they were like in different forms and stuff. And it made the scissors look really exotic. And I thought, oh, and there's these two Japanese persons, an older man and a younger woman, and they're way in the back, sitting very politely in their little seats, and one standing. And I come busting in there, and I start looking at the scissors and picking things up. And I said, oh, well, these are nice. And they showed me, and they had one table was all thinners, a lot of thinners. Thinners are so big. I remember when you had to search and search to find a thinner, and most groomers didn't even know what a thinner was. And now they got whole tables full of thinners. And then on the other side, they had the regular straight and curves. Well, I get in there and I realize that I got to turn around to get back. And so there wasn't enough room in between the two tables for me to do a U turn. I had to do like parallel parking with a tiny penis.
What an
And
adventure! What an adventure!
I came dangerously close to knocking the whole fucking thing down.
Yikes!
I finally, and I just couldn't, and you just couldn't get it to move, because as soon as you moved it one way, your rear end moved to go bump the table behind you, right? Oh
Yep.
my God. And I was stuck there for 5 minutes. And then I sort of had a little mini breakdown, and I raised my hands and I said, oh, I'm sorry, but I can't get out of here. I almost ditched the ride and walked to go get somebody to come and drag the thing out. No, I was determined I would get it. But I was right up against the side of a lengthwise scissor laden table going out. And boy, the Japanese were so nervous. They were laughing nervously. Like it wasn't funny for them, but they had to laugh because you just don't, there is no crying at Groom'd.
Definitely not shopping and crying.
So
That's not
yeah,
okay.
so I got out of there, but I mean, I almost knocked a whole table of scissors.
Good.
Jesus, that was my first day.
I'm glad you didn't. That was
Yeah,
lucky.
but boy, like they didn't wave at me when I went by again. They, they just like no energy towards me at all.
I
You
saw
know,
No
that
eye
happen.
contact.
leaving now. Oh God. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to point you to one of the best whitener shampoos in our marketplace. We're talking about Show Season Bright Shampoo. It features a deep cleaning system and a punchy whitening system that goes beyond the usual blue colorant with an actual optical brightener and a dash of dimethicone. This makes all colors look radiant and glowing, and white coats look like new snow. Get your bright on today. Show Season, where every day is a show day. So, right across from us, right across from the Handy Van booth, was a booth of shampoo and grooming products called So Posh. Did you look at it's
I kind of scrolled by, but I didn't
they
think it.
they were European. So it was this man and his girlfriend or wife or whatever. He was kind of scruffy. He was one of these kind of better than you scruffy European men. There's a type. He was it. He was it. But he smiled at me, and I thought, So Posh, I like that name. I'm going to go check it out. So I went over there, and I'm handling the bottles, and I noticed that the labeling is off. For one thing, I took a jar of conditioner, and it said the ingredients were hydrolyzed wheat protein, vitamin B5, and panthenol. Well, panthenol is vitamin B5. So of the three ingredients, two were the same thing. So there's two ingredients in this thick cream. So I said, well, this isn't the truth. And by the way, this is this. I tried to tell them, and they're European. They didn't quite understand what I was saying. And they were saying, well, my labeling people. Well, tell your labeling people that they need to edit and correct their labeling if you're going to be successful in America.
And sell
Oh,
to
they
an educated crowd. And that's what we're hoping, that people are learning
and
these
right,
ingredients.
and the truth is, of the ingredients that were clear, their products were very 1990s, very
Yeah.
just sodium lauryl sulfate, cocamide DEA, cocamidopropylbutane. That's kind of the universal pet shampoo engine. And they were just that. They were just ordinary, very ordinary shampoos from, but they had this exotic from Europe thing. So people were in there buying,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't ask for samples. I didn't even try to go there because they were kind of not that friendly. And I'm sure that it was because of me. First of all, look at me. I am one of those Americans with that color thing going. And, you know, plus
So,
I got right down to the nitty gritty, and I don't think they wanted to go there at all. And so they just wanted me to shut the fuck up and go away. And which I did, and I didn't come back, and I didn't stop anybody from going there. But somebody texted me and said, "What do you think?" And I told them, very ordinary, and unfortunately they had set up so everybody that knows how to market their shampoos knows to put the products in the front of the booth where people are walking by. So these people, you had to enter their space,
Mm-hmm.
their European space, and they had the products all in the back of the booth on shelves, and um, and they weren't real come on along people. They were just kind of standoffish European people, and then if you got in there, the woman would sell you something. I just thought it was an unfortunate kind of miss for them. That was their own fault. They could have sold those products. Those products had a certain appeal. The name is high endish, you know, uh, and uh, they had an attractive booth, but it was set up wrong. And the guy was kind of a turnoff. Most of the men that were in booths were friendly, outgoing um, men that wanted to engage with you.
In
It
theory,
was
it's their
very,
job.
yeah,
There's,
Groom'd was very friendly. It was very friendly. Um, I spent I spent a great deal of time on Saturday in with the marketing director of Groomer's Choice.
oh, really? Good.
Really, he wants to come on the pod
Okay.
and he wants to assure everybody, like, in fact, he wants to assure everybody that they're not going to change anything about the show season products. It's in their
That would make me
contract,
feel better.
and he wants us to send him a link to the podcast with Sandy that we did, and he gave me his solemn word and handshake that he wouldn't. He said no. He said what happened with other acquisitions is that they are acquired in order to remake them in a more profitable uh,
Right. What
arrangement,
they did with iGroom. That's what the
which is
people
what
that
they
did with
did with
iGroom.
iGroom, and they needed to do that with iGroom because iGroom was not, in spite of their growing, they were not financially succeeding because some of their ingredients were like too expensive for their price point, and their price point was high. So, so of course, what these business people wanted to do was to remake that. So they redid a lot of the formulas, took out a lot of what they thought were redundant ingredients, but which I thought were the jewels of the line.
Right.
They took those away and made it a more affordable line to manufacture. You don't need to do that with show seasons. They have streamlined their management, their price point, their costs. They have been doing that for years. And when COVID hit, they got real serious about that. They changed um, their whole where they got ingredients and everything so that they can't get uh, blocked and shorted and all of that kind of stuff. So they have a really profitable setup already, and they have products that work that are beloved by
That's for
all,
sure. Yep.
and they're not going to change them. And he gave me his word, and he wants to come on and broadcast it to the world. Okay, so we'll have him on.
Good.
Um, Another person who was just like really interesting was the guy in charge of coat defense.
Oh, yeah. They're very popular in the horse world. Let me tell you. They're
Right. So
really popular.
so they also um, were very grateful. Once I introduced myself, they were very grateful for the good word of mouth that we gave them. They want more.
All right.
They They want me to use the shampoo. I took the shampoo and I looked at it. I said, oh, well, the reason I didn't use it was because the main cleansing surfactant is a liquid soap. And I have issues with soap and dogs because of the high pH. He didn't know anything about his pH. He said, will you measure my pH and get back to me? I said, yeah, I'll do that. So I'm going to do that. And I told him the story of how Jody had wanted to brush my dogs, and so he had taken my dog with a yeasty skin and tried to remove all of the scabby stuff that was the yeast. And it made her skin go ruby red. I mean, dogs create scabs and scales and stuff like that to protect a leaky skin barrier. And he removed that, and immediately the inflammation just jumped tenfold, right? So like, well, what do we do? He said, well, I grabbed the coat defense powder and powdered them down real good that night because it was already evening by the time we realized what has happened. And I powdered them down real good. And in the morning, their skin was fine. It wasn't like healthy, but it was no longer inflamed. It just like brought that down. And ultimately, these scabs will shed when their job is done. So he just like went crazy over that little story. He said, "Oh, I want you to tell that story to our camera, and I want to use it." And he said, "Can you do it now?" I said, "No, I've got other people to confront." And I said, "No, I got to do my job here." And he said, "Oh, come back tomorrow. I'll put you on film, and I want it to be fair for you," and blah blah blah. And so I just ignored him, and I went away. And then Sunday I'm at the creative ring getting ready to watch the fabulous creativity, and he finds me again. Now he is a guy. He was fun because he had flirty eyes. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I love to flirt.
I'm
And
not an eye
and
contact person though, so I don't notice flirty eyes. I'm always looking over somebody's head or at their chin
no,
I'm
I
not eye
just like
contact.
flirty. I just like eyeball them. I just like, and I know that when I look at a guy that's got a twinkle in his eye, I get a twinkle in mine.
I believe that.
And I can be having a perfect business conversation. And my dimples come out, and he he told me I can't. He told me I was a shining meteorite of a person,
All right.
and, and that I was special, and so he also told me that his shampoo with the higher pH from the soap has people with, he says, like what I learned at the show, Susie, is that the South is the home of doggy yeast infections. It is the mecca of doggy yeast infections. It's all over. It's why the vet immediately went to this as a an environmental allergy and treated the dogs like that. And it's why probably my change of diet. I went through so much trying to find really a diet with no chicken in it at all. And I fed it, and it didn't make any difference to my dogs. And it's probably because this is the pollen capital. And just like I now have asthma, they now have yeasty skin, and yeasty skin is common, and a lot of groomers that have yeasty skin dogs have told coat defense that their shampoo works. And that could be because I happen to know scientifically that yeast doesn't respond to an acidic pH like bacteria does. Bacteria doesn't want to be in acidic. It doesn't affect yeast that much. It doesn't help get rid of bacteria. But yeast doesn't like alkaline, and coat defense shampoo is alkaline. And I will give more information when I get a really professional pH nailed for that product. But that was fun and that was good. I also spent time. I stopped by the Funky Poodle,
Yeah.
and I loved their booth because you had to like go inside their tent, so it made it kind of woo woo. Here we go. Yeah, yeah, like the tiki hut. They also had some people outside with a table and dogs and stuff. But all the products were like inside the tent, and you had to go inside there. And they had products packaged with their little sunglasses. So that was a real catch. Like, oh, I want to buy that packet. And they'd buy, like three shampoos with the sunglasses on them. And those people were very gracious to me and so grateful and so happy to see me. The man gave me the biggest hug, and he dragged me around to the front of his booth where there's a huge logo on a silver background in front of his booth, and took selfies. And oh boy, I mean, and once the selfie people say, "Is that Barbara Bird?" And they come in, "Oh, can I have a selfie?" Sure. And that would cause a little rustle. Who's that? Who's that? Oh, it's Barbara. Oh, Susie. I just had woman after woman come and say, "I listen to you every week. I just love you and Susie." I want to thank everybody too that came up to me and said, "Yeah, yeah."
Whichever side my heart's on. There we
The
go.
whole the whole trip was very affirming. There were people. I went to Davis booth. Now Al Davis was there, but I wasn't quite prepared to dance my old dance with Al Davis, who just like doesn't want to give me credit for anything. But anyway, I didn't want to. I just felt shy. And so I went to that booth on Sunday when he wasn't there, and the woman remembered me, and the woman told me that maybe my conversations and my nagging, I think she used that word, nagging Al about ingredients, have kind of paid off. And they're starting to disclose more and more ingredients. She said, "We now have ingredients on all of our bottles." Well, I looked at her bottles. Now they do have what looks like a complete list on their brand new, well, it was new a year ago, ceramide shampoo that I was interested in. And she coughed up a bottle for me to take home. No problem. Gave me a lovely water bottle
Oh, nice.
in my bag. And by the way, my friend Marg that we met at the tent show 2 years ago, she
Yes.
was my sidekick all weekend.
Good. I love
She
her.
was afraid that we wouldn't have time to hang out. She hung out with me all weekend, and she was my sidekick and my assistant. And Marg, I love you for it. It was just made the weekend so much better with her help, and kept my energy up and kept me going. And
I
so
totally dig her. She's awesome.
yeah, she's awesome. So I looked at some of the bottles of Davis. And yeah, they are disclosing, but they're also not disclosing much. So they're
But
doing
oh,
descriptive ingredient lists, cleansing surfactant, you
but the
know,
newest product had it all, though, right?
but this new product, this ceramide, special ceramide shampoo, had all of the ingredients. Very simple. And I'm going to give that a try. And I'll let y'all know what I think about it.
Cool.
And
So
so,
you went in to chat with Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, did I just say
Dr. Phil, Dr. Cliff,
Dr. Cliff? Sorry.
Dr. Phil, felt kind of like going up to Dr. Phil. Well, yeah, no, I did that the first day. That was a high priority for me. And he happened to have a booth that was kind of on the back side of the Hanvey booth, just separated by tarps, right? Curtains. And I went around there and I just like um, aimed at him with my chair, scooped right up and said, "Hi, I'm Barbara Bird." And he was so happy to meet me. And he he was forthcoming, he was gracious, he was friendly. Um, Apparently, he doesn't know my nickname for him. He We talked about chlorhexidine together. Also, he says veterinarians are doing a bad thing with because the veterinarians are using chlorhexidine even a lot more than groomers do. And he he's up on he's knowledgeable about the antimicrobial resistance problem that's global, and I talked to him about it. Boy, I talked to Groomer's Choice about it. They didn't even know about that. Groomer's Choice said, I want you to evaluate the ingredients of our new medicated shampoo." And he handed me a bottle, and the top ingredient was chlorhexidine. And I said, I got to tell you, chlorhexidine, I think, is doomed. Um, because it's a big problem, a big part of the microbial resistance problem that's a global, international crisis because these ingredients are creating superbugs who are then resistant to antibiotics. And if an animal gets a common urinary tract infection, they get common infections and nothing will cure it. And we're losing people. They lost 5 million people in a decade. And it's just getting bigger and larger in scope. And this is affecting the animal um, veterinary medicine as well as humans. And um, the human medical people are now thinking about withdrawing human medicines, human antibiotics from use by veterinarians so they can better uh, handle the
Be more effective?
yeah, be a better stewardship, like, so again, we're going to tell people if you're using chlorhexidine, I'm not going to diss you for it, but please use it when you know that there's something there that can be killed. Now, how do we know? We don't have that's what happens in the veterinary field. They it's used on assumption rather than by diagnosis because sometimes the diagnostics take too long or too expensive, so on. So even me, when I went to the um, what is it called? Urgent
Hospital?
care. I went
Oh.
to went to urgent care with these asthma attack things. She gave me an antibiotic just in case.
Oh.
That's the kind of thing that's creating the superbugs. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't do antibiotics like that anymore. It's creating superbugs, and so let's just be more conscientious and use our medicated shampoos when we're sure that there's something that's there to kill, and use them with full 10 minutes. Don't do 3 minutes. 5 minutes maybe if it's a hairless breed, but dogs with coat, you need to leave it on in order to get that chlorhexidine chance to like drain through the coat and get to the skin. That's
Did
all
you
I'm gonna say.
happen did you
So
happen to did you happen to talk to the people from Zymox? Were they there?
I talked to them. Yeah, I talked to them, and uh, I told them where I'm at with all that. They were kind and impressive. I don't think I brought anything home from them because I'm not seeing it. The other people that were just really grateful to hear from us were the Equus people. And it was the same guy who's the son of the original um, guy, son of the original man who started the company. And I came home with some avocado mist, and
Joe? Is it Joe?
I'm just looking at it to see if there's any.
Joe
Yeah, it's
Leggio?
called a rectangular, but it has no silicone. Um, anyway, it was
Cool.
just a great, a whole great. Of course, I went and chatted with Dave, and I made sure that he gave Marg a bunch of goodies.
Nice.
Marg got to feel what it's like to be my sidekick.
There
And
is plenty of room on your coattails for both of us. If Marg
yes.
wants to hop on there with me, I'm all for it.
So,
Absolutely.
any other
So,
questions?
yeah, did you see the neck dryer?
I got it. I got it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here it is. I got the no, I didn't see. There are a couple of these. I got this one. It's the
The
Your
jerk
pet?
pet.
Jerk Pet. Costs 200 freaking dollars. Like,
Excuse me, I
oh
just threw up a little in
God,
my
when I
mouth
think of
there.
what I could get. Like, I didn't even try to get one straight from China. Um, my hair is a bit of an issue.
I wondered if my hair would even be an issue. Your hair would be too, Melody.
You got a ponytail. It's gonna be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought one too, so I've been using it in the van.
It's good.
And
And it's
Yeah.
got good. I mean, for what it is, it's got, yeah, pretty good volume. When you say,
Yeah, it
yeah,
does.
I was impressed. Let's see it. We can show you
Yeah.
here. Plug me in there and see what happens. I haven't really learned this. It's got some different settings.
here, point it at me. Let me feel it.
What?
I made a joke. It's fine. I said point it at me. Let me feel it.
Look at my hair. It's so long. Oh man, I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's good. It's still
And
bright. Oh
it
yeah,
can
I
be
can see that.
household.
Is it lit?
What?
Does it have a light?
Yeah, so it has a light. It's like a UV, is it?
Oh,
But
okay.
that
Yeah,
way
look.
you can see like the skin
You
condition
can see
of the
the
dog.
skin. Yeah. Yeah. I I think it's good. And I can't
Okay.
wait to use it. The other thing that I got that I came home with that's gonna be put right to use. Hand me that gray thing. Right. Randy fixed my shears and we just dropped them. No, they're in the case.
Oh, hammock. I've got that one. That's the
This
littler one,
one,
right?
Marco and Little are about to meet their maker. This is going to help me so much. But I was disappointed. I told Handy they had a stuffed animal dog on the table for center of their display, and they had a hammock, a rear end hammock on him. But that three-piece rear end strap is they could have sold a bunch of them if they had just displayed it. It was like hanging in the back with all this other stuff, and it was like folded over so you couldn't even see what it was. And I said, you know what? That strap, you might not want to go into the whole hammock, but that strap has saved my butt more times than I can ever remember. And
It's much more versatile, especially because you can drop one side and work on the side
well,
of the dog, and it still
you can
keeps the
drop
dog
one
in the
side
same
of the
place.
hammock too, yeah, of the rear end too, because you know, but I agree, it's easier. I think you need both, you
Yes,
know.
but the majority of my dogs are the T-strap, not the hammock. The hammock is
Yeah,
only for a
yeah, I know.
minute,
I
probably
use
one
the teeth.
percent.
I use the teeth strap on just about everybody,
Me
and I
too.
know you do.
Yep, on
Um,
everybody.
so and then the other thing that I had to get on them for, they had a display of the Bathing Beauty because I was set up to be the Bathing Beauty
Beauty,
salesperson.
the
I,
bathing beauty.
the Bathing Beauty. Thank you.
Yes,
So the Bathing Beauty, they had a little tub set up in it. They had the Bathing Beauty in it, and they had the water halfway up halfway up the damn pump. And then they had a layer of suds about 2 inches high. So you could barely see the thing, but they had this big frothy mess in there. And there was no way that I could really demonstrate the value of the Bathing Beauty because it doesn't require so much water and you don't need to have it be sudsy. In fact, suds can choke the thing. It looked like they'd put just shot a dish soap or something in that thing. I got to talk to Curtis about that because um,
yeah,
they
that
need,
could be
if
marketed
they're
much
going to
better.
be lugging that display around and setting it up, they need to set it up in a way that it's going to be more effective. So that's what they
Definitely.
have about that.
So, did either of you guys see anything new and exciting that we should know about, or was it just, that like the newest thing I can think of is that neck dryer has been real popular, but nothing else has really jumped out at me from a viewer standpoint. But you guys were in the room, there was nothing really newish. Excuse us while Barbara dies over there. Don't do that. Are
That's
you
just me.
okay? Yes.
That's what this is for. This is
Yep.
what this is for. He's gonna make us a deal. We can't resist.
That's right. Hey, Bob, do you want to watch?
I'll be okay.
Okay.
So I did give away a few fucks. I think you probably heard about it.
No, I didn't. No, that got cut. So you
So
can tell them about it now if you'd like.
so I found these on eBay. They're little teeny
It
fucks.
yes. Turn it the other way. Turn because
Why?
you're because you mirror image. There you go. There it is. Perfect. Now we can read it.
Why can I read it when it's turned around, but you can't? See, I can read this. Wait, where is it?
Oh, maybe
But
it's just my screen. Well, either way, you've covered both directions,
but
so we're good.
anyway, um, I gave away a few fucks,
All right. I'm
and
glad.
they were a hit. But like I was kind of discreet about it.
Okay,
Excuse me, actually.
good. So you did spend a few minutes with Randy and Cheryl from Precision Sharp?
Didn't get with Randy. I
Okay.
gave Randy my scissors and told him that somebody else had used them and broke them. And I did the other thing that I bought. I didn't is I bought two. These are the
Bows,
bow.
flowers.
These
Cool.
are bows that are made by the women in Peru. They're sold by Groomer Direct.
Pet store that.
Pet Store
Pet
Direct.
Direct, what is it?
Yeah.
Pet Direct.
Pet Store Direct.
This is the other kind that are blue and purple. I
Ooh,
thought that was
ah.
good. That was different. Of course, I don't have any scissors here when they need them.
Any other show and tell stuff that you've got sitting next to you?
Um, I was reminded that the I remembered that the Equus Survivor is an excellent. Um, yeah, it is a. Are
That
you
keeps,
using the puppy?
no,
Yeah,
Maisie. It keeps Maisie's mane spectacular and it smells so nice that when
it
people ride
does.
behind us, they're all going, oh, what is that fantastic smell? And of course, I want that for my horse. So that's how I keep her beautiful long mane and tail untangled and free of debris. And it's the best. It is the best. I use the Max in a spray bottle to, for maintenance. That's cute.
Aren't they
Yeah, I
cute?
like those. Yeah.
Yeah, I got these. These are also from the women in Peru. And a couple of years ago, when I first got wind of these and bought them from Pet Store Direct, uh, what was I thinking? God damn it. Ah, wait a minute. Give me a minute. Oh, I approached them. I mean, it's really bad when you can't remember the last half of your sentence. It's just like, it's really hard. It's hard. It's hard to, how do I explain it? I can't. I just say, excuse me. And then sometimes it comes, I had to remember the name of the doctor of my cardiologist because there's some very important prescriptions missing from my package. And um, it took me hours. It took me all day practically
But
to
you
remember
got there.
her name, but I did. Okay, so these are the bows from Peru, and I think it's just way cool that we can support these indigenous women sitting around making bows in Peru, in
Yeah, that's cool.
Peru. and making a buck, I think
Yep.
that's so cool. I will always. I don't even have a salon anymore, and I just had to buy them because hey, it's too cool to the exchange factor, the cultural exchange, the global nature of it is all just too exciting. It's just the kind of thing that I would have loved as a kid.
Did you guys go to any of the social stuff?
Yeah, well, we went to Friday night. They had the networking event. So they had tables out in the
That was
lobby.
inside the lobby.
Mhm.
That was fun. They had line dancing.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I was so
Ah,
little. There was my fantasy in front of me, and I had to let it go because I just couldn't even stand up. Oh, look at this happens to be.
boy, you're full of F words today.
Oh, here, I'll put it on this finger. There we go. I'm showing off these. Look at, see, I gotta wear
Yeah.
the,
You
just,
could put
okay.
it on your glasses.
put it on my glasses.
Yeah,
Oh,
right on the right there.
Yeah.
I would do that. And then my headphones would probably, well, no, I guess it would fit. Yeah, I like that. The people on the side are getting a good view. Or right here, right in the middle. Then I'd be
right in
looking
the
at it all the
middle.
time. I don't know if you could get
And
it over there.
I don't know how to, well, I have to, no, moving along.
Yes, moving along. We'll take a break right here, and I'm going to remind you all to get your stuff sharpened at Precision Sharp.
From the straight and the curved to the thinned and the chunked. If your shears aren't precise, then your finish is bunked. The bobcat is smooth and the lynx is a beast. Give your tired hands a holiday or a permanent feast. Slide that thumb ring forward, slide it way back. With Precision Sharp Tech, there's nothing you lack. Lightweight design means no more hand pain, just a flawless coat and a whole lot of gain. For the edge and stay sharp and the fit that is true, Precision Sharp has the perfect pair for you. Shop the Lynx and Bobcat at PrecisionSharp.com.
Let's see what's happening at the grooming table. So, Melody, how was your first competition?
It was very exciting, definitely a little nerve-wracking.
Why
Um,
did you choose a standard poodle to go in for your first time? I just, my mind is blown by that. I mean, you could have picked
yeah,
any breed and you bought a
right.
standard poodle and then headed into the
Let's
hardest of
go.
all the competition.
I know. Go big or go home, right? No,
Yes.
no. So actually, I've done a little volunteer work with Carolina Poodle Rescue. So great organization up here in the upstate. Um, they take in, predominantly poodles and doodles. They've got, a few others that kind of come in. Um, but I had gone up and done some grooming, took my van up, and I actually had groomed this dog. He was getting ready to possibly be adopted, and he was a little puppy, about maybe 3 months old at the time.
Oh,
So I was actually getting him groomed for his adoption, and I was just said, man, I was like, I wish. And he's a black and white party poodle, and so I was just talking, I was like, man, if something doesn't, work right, I was like, I would take him home in a heartbeat. And it just so happened, the rescue's about an hour from where I live. So by the time I got home, got inside, I got a text message that say, he wasn't adopted. Are you interested? And I said, I will put in my application right now. So things just kind of happened to line up that way. And, it's,
of all the difficult choices, and especially when prep means so much, that dog has a
Mhm.
ton of prep to do.
Yes.
Yeah, she learned that.
Yeah. So, I mean, on average, it's like when he's, you know, been in, good coat. I mean, it takes like a good like 2 hours for me to get him like really bathed up and then to get him completely blow dried and fluffed out and then do like the little bit of like prep that you would for competition, which would be, shaving the feet and like his sanitary and stuff like that. So he just turned a year old in, let's see, it's March. So last month in February, he turned a year old. So we've been going through coat change. So the last time that we prepped, it took us about closer to 3 hours because every time we turn around, here's a little mat and here's another little mat and having to pick at those. Um, so
You brought
definitely,
your van, right? You brought your own stuff, your
Well,
own
well,
van.
tell them who judged you. Guess who judged her?
well, let me tell you this at first. So I also at Groom'd, I ended up spending a lot of time at the WAGA booth, which is the World Alliance of Grooming Associations. So right now I'm the president for the South Carolina Professional Pet Groomers Guild. And then
I'm
we're
the advisor.
and Barbara
Oh,
is one of our
nice.
advisors. So we're very fortunate to have her on board with that. Um, but I spent a lot of time at the booth because WAGA kind of is, I kind of say it's like an overarching umbrella.
Yeah.
So they kind of help out with all the state associations. They've been helping us get started and going. And um, Terry DiMarino is part of the board for WAGA and Judy Breton. So they were spending a lot of time at the booth. And I had the puppy with me the first day on Friday. And I was asking Terry a question. I said, Terry, I said, could you kind of look at, I said, I'm having some struggle with like getting his crest right here. And she's like, yeah, let me, look over your dog. And so she said, what division are you in? And I said, I'm entry level. It's the first, competition I'm doing. And she said, oh, great. I'm going to be your judge.
Well, that was convenient.
I know. So I had a momentary panic attack, and realized that she told us there were 38 groomers in the entry division.
In the class,
Mhm.
in the
Oh
entry
my
level.
goodness.
Just an entry. So they actually had to have
Yes.
two judges, and they kind of split the class in half. So Terry was judging half, and then Shannon Tupez, she was judging the other half. So so Lord bless them, because I know it took a long time to get through all of the judging with so many of us.
Wow. Okay, so
But
as a first timer, what are the hurdles? What do you wish you knew before now that you've been through it?
well, I would say I was fortunate in that one, I kind of had a friend that I was going through it with. So shout out to my friend Chris and her standard poodle. And so she had competed in like freestyle the previous year. So I kind of got some, feedback from her. And also, she had introduced me to we did a couple of like mock competitions. So we traveled to like salons and did those. So I mean, it's really great because it's basically set up like a competition, but it's a lot less pressure, a lot less people. So, and you get a lot more one-on-one and feedback. Um, but I think that would probably be my thing that I would recommend to anyone that's going into it for the first time is definitely see if you can find some of those mock competitions near you. And some people are even doing them online. So, it's like you don't even have to travel. But I
So
think
you can get feedback. Is that,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and some of them will do like one of the ones that we did actually did placements, so it was very similar to an actual competition. You got like a ribbon and a placement, and then another one was just, very just kind of basic, like, hey, we're going to groom your dogs, and then the allotted time, and then you get the feedback from your judge. So so those are very helpful, but I think one of the biggest things that I kind of wish I knew beforehand is just the amount of time that you do have to dedicate. So, it's like when people talk about, you're going to be spending like every weekend, you're going to be bathing, maintaining your dog. And especially, I think in my case, like where I had a puppy that goes through coat change, it's like, man, like I skipped a week and that was not a good idea.
Now we know what our people are saying. Well, this just came up over the last week. Well, it might have
No,
actually.
for real. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I've totally sympathized with some of my clients now because when they've told me like, I swear I brushed them 2 days ago and then now this match
Yeah.
popped up.
And now you can believe them.
And now I believe them. I do.
Did you have an assistant at the ring to like go get stuff? Was your friend competing at the same time? I know you had Barbara.
It was
Barbara was
right
there.
there. But she was in the middle of
Mhm.
this pack
Yeah.
of people.
Mhm.
Like I couldn't even wave to her, like
Yeah.
I could watch as things shifted around her and I'd get a glimpse. Um, I saw her sitting down for a while. I said, "Oh, good, get off your feet," you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And you know what? Some of the people, they took their dogs off the table and put them down on the grounds to get the crest, the
Hmm.
back of the crest right. I thought, oh, that's smart.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
I have to do that. I did before the new table because I'm only
yeah,
5 feet tall now. I didn't start out there, but I am now. And so the putting a big dog's my standard poodle on the ground so that I can do her head, that is really helpful. She's huge. Yeah. So did you learn great things from the critique?
I did. So, and funny because we were talking about like prep, and one of the big things that Terry had commented on was that was my prep. So, and it's like you kind of go into it thinking like, like I got this. And but no, I was actually
and it wasn't anything that you could see.
no.
I mean, I lived with that dog, and they went in the ring the next day, and I knew she'd been up all night prepping it,
Hmm.
and I looked at it, it looked perfect,
Yeah.
but you get into that coat,
Hmm. Yep, and surprise. So
they're a
yeah.
surprise.
Yeah, there's some areas like where it's really dense because of where that coat change is happening. And so what happened was the coat was actually air drying faster than what I was velocity drying. And then when I went back into fluff dry, I didn't really re-wet the coat enough, so it wasn't straightening all the way out from the root. So it was kind of like it was straighter on the ends, but down underneath, it had just enough a little bit of a kink to it to where, like, especially because I use the snap-on combs to set the patterns and or set my lines. So when that comb would come down like on his flanks, you could see where it's kind of jibberty jabberty
Yeah,
for
your
lack of words. So
heart must have just fallen to oh fuck.
yeah, yeah, there may have been a
There's
few
another
fucks.
another F word. So what did you how early did you have to start? Cuz poodles are like 8 in the morning, aren't they?
Yeah, so we had to. They started prejudging at 7:15 for Sunday morning.
Wow.
So since I had my van and I prepped the night before, so I was in the van from like around 10 o'clock at night till about 1:15 in the morning, getting him ready, picking mats out. So, um, and then, like I said, my friend Chris, she hopped in the van early in the morning to get hers ready, and we hightailed it over there, and just kind of like with trying to get over there and get parking and everything, it took longer than we thought. So we barely made it into the ring. Um, when they were getting ready to close the prejudging. So pretty much I walked in the ring, put my stuff down, put them on the table, and then there's
Was
Terry right in front of me, ready to judge my dog or prejudge. So a little nerve wracking. So I would definitely say that if you're going to compete, make sure you give yourself plenty of time. That way you can get in there and get set up and feel relaxed and not rushed.
The prep time takes a lot, but you
Mhm.
don't ever really add in what it's like the morning that you're competing and all of the stuff you've got to get to the ring and
Yeah.
do the prep and do the prejudging and stand up
Mhm.
there. And for me, there was a little too much time for the wrong size dog. I had an Airedale and I finished him too early and I picked away at him. That's the only dog that I did that was other than creative. And rescue. Yeah, I picked away at my own groom and wrecked it because it was just a little much too much extra time. So there's my tip to people. Leave it alone. When you've got it, leave it. Leave it, leave it. So will you do it again?
I'm planning to. So, I
good.
it's like even though like I don't see myself as like a career competition groomer, just the process of being able to learn new things and challenge yourself is so worth it. So, and I know people like worry about like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get up there and everyone's watching me and seeing what's going on, but I mean, it's really true when you hear people say, like, you're so focused on what you're doing and your dog, like, nobody's really looking at each other. You're just focused on your groom. and what's going on with that. So, but I think, I mean, it really comes down to it is a lot of fun. You know, it's like you get in there and you're able to really kind of challenge yourself and see what you can do. So whether you get a placement or not, like I didn't get a placement and there were definitely things I could have done better, but I still realized like that was one of, the better trims that I had put on him. So I was still proud of myself for that. And just kind of watching the process of the journey too. So,
So
so
I
yeah,
wonder, I wonder about how the younger generations, because you're one of those, and even younger than you, who go out there and compete. For me as a kid, I was a gymnast, and I had coaches from the age of 5 till I was 20 years old telling me what I was doing wrong and that I was overweight and that, whatever. I took the criticism, and I'm able to take criticism as an adult. It's a different world today. So how was taking the criticism? Did you handle that okay? Did people around you seem to do okay with that? It's something you have to learn.
well, and I think kind of in the same respect, Susie, because like I grew up, I'm a classically trained pianist.
Oh,
So,
there you go.
uh, so I've had a lot of the criticism, coming from
Correction,
being a
yeah.
musician. So,
Yep.
and but even after all those years, I mean, sometimes that can be hard, but I think if you go into it thinking rather than someone's criticizing me as what can I learn from this? And I'm the kind of person too, I'm like, be easy on me, give me something good along with the bad.
Be,
So,
be gentle.
yeah,
Yes, you need the compliment sandwich.
I
Compliment,
do.
critique, compliment. Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Yes,
that
that's what
works
I tell
pretty well.
everyone. The Oreo. So, um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, for me, taking the criticism isn't, you know, that's not really a hard thing. But I know for some people it is. It is really
Yeah.
hard. But I think if you look at it with that lens of this is something I can learn and grow from, then it's a lot easier.
It's one of those things like certification. People are
Yeah.
always debating whether it's worth it to spend the money and the time for certification because you think it's just the day you certify, but it's not. It's months
No,
and months
it's
of
the
prep
whole
on the
process.
dog. It's the learning, it's the tweaking and adjusting, and then it's the taking of the criticism and the corrections and stuff. And
Mhm.
it's about the learning. It's not about being butthurt because somebody told you your crest wasn't good enough, right? It's about
Right.
learning. So certification isn't, I mean, it's very cool to have the letters, but it's about the journey of grooming and improving that hopefully all of us, you three, us three included, and everyone listening to this, is striving for constant improvement till the end, till you die with the scissors in your coffin, which is how I plan to go out. So,
Exactly.
yeah, thank you so much for being here, Melody. It was a pleasure,
Yeah.
and I want to have you back on because it's fun to talk to you. And Barbara, as
Good.
always, you're the queen. I'm glad you had so much fun. It was so hard to be here and watch and not be with you. But it is, for me to go to the East Coast, it's an extra 2 days on top of the show to travel. I've got to travel for a whole day to get there, and I got to travel for a whole day to get back. And right now, that was a little difficult, although you never know what's going to happen in the future. Hopefully, we'll get to meet up somewhere in between that's a little closer, like maybe Rocky Mountain or Texas or something like that. Somewhere where it's not a whole day for me to get there. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know if you like the videos. We're planning on continuing to do them, and they're fun, but they're also hard for me because I have to let the mistakes go through. And I hate that. I can't control every bit of the podcast. So I will also put them up on the audio as well. I'll do the last one and do this one, but I'm not going to edit them much, just a little bit. And I think that's it. Somebody is on their way right now to detail my new van. So I'm going to call it a day. I know he's going to be here in 20 minutes and I need to move it out into an appropriate spot where he can get to it and do his thing. So happy grooming, everyone. See you next time on the GroomPod. And from my lovely co-hosts, Barbara.
Hey, take care of yourselves, because you know why? Because we
you
love
love
you.
us.
We depend on you. We need you.
And Melody, say goodbye.
No.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Talk to you soon.